So let's talk about the role of storytelling at a time like this. I mean, um, of course, in the African American community, stories are what got us through hardship, that continue to get us through hardship. There are so many hardships right now that we're facing anew or being reminded of, that you've come to my mind several times about how does all this resonate, and how do we use story to heal and to survive?
Well, if there was ever a time for storytelling, the time is now. And that's what we're doing. There's the big story that we see every day on the news. And then there are the smaller stories, the most significant stories of the nurses and the doctors and those planes flying over to applaud their courage, and the story of people's traditions and rituals disappearing in the face of how do I get closure for this person that died. Some of our leaders in Detroit disappearing, and we wondering what the world's going to be like without their leadership after we're allowed to come out of our homes, or the spaces or the spaces inviting and safe. So to tell the stories, because I love people through their stories, and I get texts from people all the time. I have a story. Do you have time to hear it? Well, yeah, it's COVID-19. And they call me up and they tell stories of loneliness and the breakthroughs they're having, that when COVID is over, they're not going to let anything stop them from having that man, or people who I didn't even know baked. I didn't know that they did half the things that they did, sell jewelry, and all of a sudden that little hobby, that little thing they never told you about, is first and foremost in terms of entrepreneurship. So there are flowers and things that are blooming in the midst of all of this tragedy and heartache. And I always, I lived through the 67 riots. I was a kid, but I also lived through the 92 riots in Los Angeles with Rodney King. And each of those times, the artists always debated the word riot, or uprising. And we can call whatever this is, that was what that was. And it's a place for our frustrations and our angers to be expressed. Where can it go? It has to spill out beyond our bodies and search out other like-minded people who are tired. We're ready for a change. And we're in that shifting. I think I was on your show last year. We're in the shift. This is shifting. I broke last week. I cried. I couldn't stop. I didn't think I could stop. And I didn't know what grieving I was doing, but I'm a mother. And so as a mother, I grieve all the time. Grieving is an ongoing process. You talked about storytelling is healing. Grieving is the path, it's the way to healing, because if you don't let it out, and now we have that opportunity not to schedule our grief or to postpone it, it's in our face, because what else is there to do
Can't get away from it.
You cannot get away from it. And now I hope people are appreciating, though it's a release, the pain is going out of your body. Like when you inject a flu shot, you feel the symptoms, or you do a detox and you're doing a healthy thing, but you feel bad because the stuff is coming out. Mm-hmm. And then one day you remember your mother and you laugh, or you call her old number and you hope and pray that no one has it or somebody righteous has it, and you heal.
Yeah. So the challenge to you as someone who hosts storytellers and people who love stories is, how do you do that now that we can't be together in the same way? And you are innovating like lots of artists are. Tell us what the future, or at least the immediate future, of Twisted Storytellers is going to look like.
Well, I mean, storytelling has an enormous human value, obviously. So no matter what's going on, we're going to find a way to tell our stories. And so because we are where we are in the world of technology and Zoom, we are all on the same playing field. So I don't have to try to figure it out. I can see what other people are doing to try to get their to come into people's living rooms and still entertain them and give them an encouraging word. And so we find a way, and so we have found another way to tell our stories. It's very different than live, obviously, because you can't see and breathe and hug people. But what we're trying to do is create like a little half-hour show where we have a storyteller tell a short story, and then we have other people come and talk around the theme in a very dynamic way, because I grew up in the 60s and the 70s where conversation was an art. And in the entertainment show like Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan, people would entertain and tell their stories. And there was the raconteur and the comedian with the cigar. And so language was so juicy and it delighted my mind.
There is so much weighing on us as African Americans right now that I think none of us could have imagined before. I want to give you a chance, though, to talk. I mean, as somebody who's such a foundational part of this community, an important part of the arts community here, talk about where you think we end up. I mean, that's one of the things that really concerns me is we still have lives that matter and that we want to matter more. Where does all of this lead us, and where does it lead the arts community, which I know is always more ready for change, I feel like, than the rest of us, always thinking about what's next. Are you optimistic in ways about the future?
Yes. As I said, I lived through, other Rodney King and on and on and on and on. But as an artist in LA at the time, the artists were the ones that picked it up. They were the voices. We took over spaces and places. I had a project with two other artists to go down into South Central and interview the National Guards, the Koreans, the African Americans, Korean, Black Korean soldiers, everybody to get their stories and then put it into a sort of installation where people could come and listen and write on the walls, because what we don't have and why storytelling, it looks like, storytelling, but really we're developing listeners, and listeners are what people who are listening to other people are the people who are going to change the world, because they're going to allow themselves to reach a place of understanding. Where do we end up? We've ended up there now. We're now and now and now and now until we change fundamentally the policies, the structure, the system that delivers the same outcomes over and over again, because that's what they're designed to do. Mm-hmm. So I hope that this moment is a moment where we're going to actually not tear down. We don't have to tear it down. We can create something quite new right beside it and then choose, like the election. You have Trump or Biden. If you're not clear about your choice, then we're not worried about you. You wake up sometime in 2022, but the other people have to know who they're voting for and what kind of world they're voting for. So it's not just about getting over this moment of George Floyd and another painful execution in front of us. It's about using the moment. And even human beings are so extraordinary to me. George Floyd's brother and all of the grief and pain and shock he was feeling had the compassion to say, let's do this another way. Vote.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to end up where we are right now, and probably wherever this is going to take us if we don't make a sharp U or a left or a right. We have to fundamentally change things. That's why I posted the thing on Facebook this morning. Joe, pick a Black woman for your BP. She's ready. She's been ready, and my whole argument of why that makes sense right now.